Okay, hopefully we're live there, and it looks like some people are logging in here. I know that you're going to be terribly heartbroken when I tell you that we're going to have a very abbreviated class today. Over the weekend, my aunt, who I care for, fell and broke her pelvis in 2 places, and she's at the hospital, and they're going to transport her between 10:30 and 11 o'clock today to a rehab facility, so I have to go get all of her personal effects and help her move. So I apologize for that. I just got the news right before my 8 o'clock class. They called me and let me know when they're going to transport her. So I really didn't plan on doing this today, but that's the way it happened. So what I thought I would do is I've had between Saturday and Monday about 10 emails or texts from you all in this class and in my 8 o'clock class regarding the article reviews and some confusion, because I talked about sort of the style of the review and how to make arguments, and it's supposed to be an argumentative paper. There were some questions about that, but there was a lot of questions about just sort of the basic instructions for the review. And I guess it was not clear in my first lecture that the article review instructions are actually in the syllabus. So if you go to the syllabus, and this is the first time in history I've ever made a mistake, so that was one of the questions, and I realized that there is a conflict in the syllabus on the due date. So if you look at the schedule in the syllabus, you scroll down to I think the 3rd page. It says the article reviews will be due on October 20th here in the schedule. But then if you scroll further down to the actual assignment, it starts on page 5. And at the bottom there, it says October 22nd, which would be Thursday. So we're going to go with the later date, the 22nd. So you have until the 22nd at midnight, 11:59 or midnight to get that in. If you look at the syllabus, you scroll up, there's detailed instructions. You don't really need a cover page. I used to have students actually turn in hard copies of this, so I would have you print off the article and attach it. You don't need to do that anymore because we're submitting everything through D2L. You can just put a hyperlink at the end of your article and give me the URL basically to the article, and that will suffice. It should be at least 3 pages. So if you have an article that's very short, you may have to do 2 in order to get the 3 full pages of analysis. It should not just be like a book report. It actually does need to be an argument, all right? For example, I'm reading a book right now called Behind the Scenes with Berkshire Hathaway's Charlie Munger. And one of the things that the book argues, this is more than an article, but one of the things that the book argues is that Charlie Munger is really one of the reasons that Warren Buffett is so successful. And so my argument would be that, for those of you who don't know who Charlie Munger is, he's the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. He's about, I think, 10 years older than Warren Buffett. And they met, and they obviously have a very lucrative partnership. I think a Class A share of Berkshire Hathaway is approaching $300,000 right now. But I would argue that it's not just the partnership between Munger and Buffett that's made Buffett successful. He was also an early student of a finance professor at Columbia University called Benjamin Graham. And he really is the father of value investing. And so he has 3 sort of rules for investing that Warren Buffett has followed. So that would be my argument, right? And then if you look at not just the thesis, it should have some tie to theory. So what are sort of the theories that you can have? Well, if you're talking about, and this is why I gave you last week to look at the chapters, for example, if you're talking about an article that's dealing with advertising, there is a unifying theory in advertising. Now, on Thursday, we'll talk about price. And so with that, there isn't a unifying theory. There are several theories. But with regard to, say, advertising and communication, we have a unifying theory called integrated marketing communication, right? So you can use that. With regard to this book that I'm reading about Charlie Munger, one of the things that I would argue, and you can make a connection to theory, is that one of the things that's also led Warren Buffett to be highly successful is he is enormously value driven. He has a very strong moral compass, and he uses a lot of duty ethics in his investing. He really believes that he is responsible for people's wealth. If they invest with him, they're investing in him, and he's got a very strong moral compass. So that's theory, right? So you should have a clear thesis statement tied to some theory that you discovered through reading the text or things that we've talked about in class, like with regard to ethics. And then analysis. Usually you need 3, or you should have more because you're going to have 3 pages, points as to why you made the argument that you made. You could make an argument that you totally agree with the author, right? That can be one of your arguments, that they provide a very sound analysis of a situation, right? So 3 substantive points, at least, and then obviously you should reach a conclusion that should flow and match your thesis statement. Any questions about the article review? No? All right. Well, I'm going to let you have the rest of class today to work on that, since I've got to go move my aunt. I thought there would be more questions because there were a lot of questions in my first class about this. Any questions about sources? What's a credible source, right? How you determine what is a credible source. Yes.
Is the American Marketing Association? Yes,
that's a credible source. Anything by the American Marketing Association is going to be credible. Time, Newsweek, things like that, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of those. But there are lots of organizations out there. For example, if you're doing an article on political marketing, since this is an election year, that's a timely topic. There are lots of organizations out there that sound like they're legitimate. The American Freedom Forum, which is like a right-wing, group. And on the left, you've got similar groups. So any other questions about sources?
Kansas City Star.
What?
Can I use the Kansas City Star?
Yes, absolutely. That's fine. That's a paper that's been around for a long time. Are you from Kansas City?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Okay, well, I'll give you the rest of the time to work on that. And I apologize for the extremely abbreviated class. Again, if you feel cheated, you let me know. We'll start early or stay late on Thursday. But I've got to go do this, and I apologize again. So if you have questions, one of the other things, you're always welcome to text me. I get a voluminous amount of emails, so if I overlooked your email this weekend, I apologize, but I get a huge amount of emails, so you're always welcome to text me at 405-414-7054 if you have questions about this, all right? I will see you guys on Thursday. We should be able to get through pricing in one class period, so we'll still be on track. So we're still good to go.
Would an article over like the Peloton ad from like last year, would that be?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's not in them.
I already turned my paper in, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. It's just if it's too short or anything like that and you want an opportunity to redo it, you have this opportunity to do that.
Okay.
I might just stay in here and work on that then.